By the year 2050, catastrophic natural disasters have reduced human civilization to crumbling ruins. To make matters worse, prehistoric beasts return to reclaim the planet, pushing humanity to the brink of extinction. While brave guards rise to protect the innocent, a darker faction emerges from the chaos to challenge them. These are the Saurians, fanatics who worship the dinosaurs as divine judgment and conspire against the defenders. Deep in a secret facility, scientists monitor a pulse, preparing for a forbidden experiment to bridge man and beast. A commander orders the procedure to begin, his loyalty marked by the Saurian crest on his arm. They plan to birth a new hybrid power to enforce their twisted laws upon the weak. The leader declares that only their chosen few are worthy of inheriting this broken world. Inside a massive containment tube, a dormant T-Rex awaits synchronization with a human host. Vital signs hold steady as the biological merger reaches 40% completion without issues. The Saurian leader watches in silence, his ambition hinging on this creature's successful awakening. Tension mounts as the process passes the halfway mark, the two observers waiting for the final result. Suddenly, a hidden saboteur triggers a device to disrupt the delicate operation from the shadows. Alarms blare instantly as critical systems overheat and signal reception is completely lost. The experiment collapses into chaos, sending sparks flying as the machinery malfunctions and explodes. Despite the failure, synchronization spikes to dangerous levels, threatening to detonate the entire facility. Desperate to succeed, the commander screams to keep the process running regardless of the risks. Technicians panic as the energy readings surge past 100%, pushing the lab to its breaking point. A terrified researcher realizes the security locks have been manually overridden from the inside. Before they can react, the commander realizes the test subject has already stirred within the tank. Suspended in the fluid, a young boy's face remains calm amidst the turmoil outside. His eyes snap open, glowing with an ominous, unnatural red light. A primal roar shakes the facility as the spirit of the beast erupts from the boy's body. The child is engulfed in raw power, his gaze burning with the ferocity of an apex predator. As the dust settles, the Saurian leader calls out to the survivor amidst the wreckage. The boy sits dazed among the debris, the red glow fading as he stares blankly at the wall. Acting quickly, the man approaches the confused child with a feigned sense of care. Disoriented and lost, the boy asks where he is and who the stranger standing before him is. The leader probes carefully, asking if the child recalls the chaos that just occurred. When the boy remembers only pain and fear, the man decides to keep the dark truth buried in the rubble. The stranger carries the exhausted child away from the smoking ruins to begin a new life. 10 years pass, and nature slowly reclaims the skeletal remains of the old cities. Prehistoric beasts now roam the streets, drinking from pools where skyscrapers once stood. In the wilderness, a young man pushes his body to the absolute limit. He balances a massive boulder on his back, counting the final 1,000 reps of an impossible workout. With a heavy thud, the colossal stone crashes to the ground as he finishes the set. Rex stands tall, his physique honed by a decade of brutal survival training. His senses sharpen instantly, detecting a sudden disturbance in the air. Reflexes kick in as he narrowly evades a barrage of heavy logs flying toward him. His mentor steps out with a grin, testing the boy's agility with a surprise attack. The old man insists that only this level of skill will allow him to join the elite guards. Rex dodges another projectile, shouting that he has zero interest in hunting dinosaurs for a living. The mentor tries to bribe him with tales of wealth, but the boy questions this obsession with the guards. A mysterious glint flashes in the old man's eye, hinting at secrets he refuses to share. He playfully strikes his student, promising that the truth will be revealed when the time is right. For now, the only answer Rex gets is a thumbs up and an order for another 1,000 reps. Grumbling but obedient, Rex returns to his training, unaware of the destiny being shaped for him. The mentor's smile fades as he assesses the boy's progress with a critical, heavy gaze. He knows that a dark force is rising again to plunge humanity into absolute despair. His true goal is to forge a weapon capable of stopping the Saurian fanatics at any cost. Shadowy figures elsewhere review a leaked report about a defector who fled the cult years ago. Though skeptical of the source, the information hints at a weapon that could change the war. The intelligence identifies a specific boy as the key to the guards' ultimate victory. Back at their hideout, a full moon rises over the quiet sanctuary they call home. The peaceful night is shattered when Rex reacts with shock to his mentor's sudden announcement. The old man reveals that the guards are arriving tonight to recruit him. He declares that Rex's training is over, and he must leave to fulfill his purpose. Rex trembles with frustration, feeling betrayed by the only family he has ever known. He clenches his fist, screaming that he refuses to be a pawn in someone else's war. Overwhelmed by emotion, Rex storms out into the darkness, leaving his mentor calling after him in vain. Rex fumes as he stomps away, sick of the constant pressure to become a soldier. He wanders into the overgrown ruins of the city, seeking space to cool his head. Survivors scavenge through the debris, trying to rebuild their lives in the shadows. Rex moves silently among them, his mind still racing with feelings of betrayal. He overhears locals praising the guards for taking down a rampaging triceratops. The stories of their heroism annoy him, though he can't deny their effectiveness. To the common people, these warriors are the only thing standing between life and death. Rex stares blankly, wondering if that violent life is truly his only option. A propaganda poster looms over him, a constant reminder of the destiny he tries to outrun. Back at the hideout, the silence is heavy in the wake of their heated argument. The mentor sighs, realizing he pushed the boy too hard without explaining the stakes. Just as he resolves to tell Rex the truth, a chilling presence interrupts his thoughts. He turns with a smile, assuming his student has returned to make amends. Instead of a greeting, a sharp blade strikes him from the shadows. Dark droplets hit the floor as the old man realizes his fatal mistake. Pain surges through him, but the shock of recognizing his attacker hurts far more. The dreaded Saurian cultists have found their sanctuary, hungry for blood. Their leader demands the location of the boy, their voices cold and merciless. Unaware of the danger, Rex returns to the room to apologize for his outburst. His words die in his throat as he witnesses the nightmare unfolding before him. With his last ounce of strength, the mentor screams for the boy to flee. The cultist turns his gaze toward the doorway, locking eyes with his true target. Assassins lunge forward instantly, intent on capturing the vessel of the beast. But instead of running, Rex plants his feet, his survival instincts taking over. He weaves through their coordinated strikes with the agility of a wild animal. The attackers are stunned, not expecting such speed from an untrained civilian. A high kick misses by inches as Rex continues to evade their lethal blows. They taunt him, believing he can only run for so long before tiring out. Rex proves them wrong, finding an opening in their defense to launch a counterattack. His fist connects with explosive force, sending the assassin flying across the room. The assassins smirk through the smoke, confident their heavy blow has finished the job. Their arrogance vanishes instantly as the dust begins to clear. Rex rises from the debris, his body bruised but his spirit unbroken. He screams at the intruders, demanding to know what they did to his mentor. Without hesitation, he launches himself forward with blinding speed. His eyes go white as raw adrenaline completely takes over his senses. The old man watches in horror, realizing the boy is losing control. The masked leader raises a weapon, deciding he is tired of the noise. The mentor cries out a warning, desperate to save his student. A sudden shot rings out, striking the helpless mentor to the ground. The leader mocks the fallen teacher, leaning in to hear his final words. But the old man whispers a chilling warning about the blood flowing in Rex's veins. On the boy's arm, the red markings begin to glow with intense heat. A massive shockwave erupts, blasting the assassins away from their captive. The cyborg struggles against the pressure, blinded by the sudden energy surge. The leader observes calmly, realizing the dormant beast has finally awoken. Rex transforms, his body enveloped in red lightning and prehistoric power. He stands as the avatar of the dinosaur, a true Saurus warrior. The cyborg charges in, boasting that his speed is unmatched. His words are cut short as a fist slams into his face faster than he can see. Rex drives him into the ground with the force of a falling meteor. The assassin looks up in terror, his visor shattered and his confidence broken. Rex descends from above, his eyes glowing like burning coals. He slams the enemy into the wall, unleashing a devastating combo. The masked leader watches the brutality, seemingly pleased by the display. Rex lands on the rubble, his transformation stabilizing into a combat form. The mentor witnesses the power he tried so hard to suppress. Unimpressed, the leader fires a barrage of bullets at the boy. Rex's senses heighten, perceiving the projectiles in slow motion. He weaves through the gunfire effortlessly, closing the distance in a heartbeat. His eyes burn with the raw, untamed energy of the prehistoric predator. Leaping high into the air, he prepares to unleash a crushing blow upon the enemy. The mentor watches in stunned silence, witnessing the power he tried to hide. A massive impact shakes the ground as the boy lands, dissipating the red lightning. As the dust settles, the feral glow fades, leaving him disoriented and exhausted. Rex stands amidst the smoke, the beast retreating deep within his subconscious. For a brief moment, the duality of human and monster flickers across his face. Suddenly, his strength evaporates, and he collapses forward into the void. Acting quickly, the old man catches his student before he hits the hard concrete. He realizes with a heavy heart that the awakening was imperfect and unstable. The boy drifts into a deep sleep, unaware of the secret still left unspoken. A violent cough racks the mentor's body, signaling that his time is running out. He looks down to see the fatal wound inflicted during the chaos of the battle. Sometime later, Rex jolts awake, his senses on high alert. A throbbing headache pulses through him as he tries to recall the recent violence. The room is silent and destroyed, with the bodies of the assassins scattered about. Panic sets in as he scans the wreckage for the one person who matters. He finds his teacher slumped against the wall, his life force fading rapidly. Desperation fills his voice as he shakes the old man, begging him to wake up. Tears stream down his face as he clutches the dying man, refusing to let go. But the mentor has already passed, a peaceful expression remaining on his face. A cry of pure anguish echoes through the ruins as Rex mourns his loss. He builds a simple stone grave to honor the only family he ever knew. Standing alone in the wilderness, he wonders how he can possibly go on. Memories of the old man's smile and guidance flood his mind, bringing fresh pain. Slowly, the grief hardens into a steely resolve to fulfill his teacher's wish. He grips the tooth pendant left behind, a final symbol of their bond. Placing it around his neck, he accepts his destiny to become a protector. The journey ahead leads through a city reclaimed by nature and roaming beasts. He steps over the faded headlines of the apocalypse, leaving his past life behind. Rex stares at a wall of missing person posters, realizing he has walked in a complete circle. His sharp senses pick up a subtle rustling in the dense foliage behind him. He spins around instantly, demanding the hidden stalker reveal themselves. The leaves part slowly, building tension as something approaches from the undergrowth. Instead of a beast, a blonde stranger pops out, startling Rex with his sudden appearance. Rex jumps back, annoyed and demanding to know why he was being followed. The stranger calmly points out that Rex has been wandering the same path for hours. He notes that masking one's presence is a basic skill for anyone surviving these woods. Impressed by the stealth, Rex asks if the mysterious traveler is a guard. The man corrects him, introducing himself as a recruiter scouting for potential talent. Rex excitedly declares his intention to join, but the recruiter asks about his teammate. Confusion washes over Rex as he admits he has no idea what a partner is. The recruiter stares in disbelief, questioning if Rex is truly prepared for the exams. He explains that the guard exams operate on a strict two-person team system. Rex realizes his solo journey has hit a major administrative roadblock. Without hesitation, he grabs the stranger and begs him to fill the empty slot. The recruiter pulls back, flustered by the sudden and desperate request. He tries to explain that partners need compatible combat styles, not just random selection. Rex stares blankly, hearing only that he needs a warm body to take the test. Sighing, the recruiter agrees to tag along for now, provided they don't die. A wide grin spreads across Rex's face as he secures his ticket to the exams. But the celebration is cut short as a massive shadow looms directly behind the recruiter. Rex's eyes widen in horror as he spots the threat before his new ally does. A heavy impact shakes the ground, signaling the arrival of a pack of predators. A feathered beast strikes from the blind spot, clamping its jaws onto the recruiter. Rex recognizes the blue plumage immediately, identifying the threat as a Utah raptor. The prehistoric predator growls menacingly, its yellow eye fixed on the fresh prey. Blood runs down the recruiter's face as he stands frozen in the grip of the beast. Rex freezes, realizing his new partner might be dead before they even start. More raptors emerge from the bushes, surrounding them with coordinated precision. Rex finds himself cornered against a high wall, but a voice calls out from the rooftop above. The pack of raptors closes in, leaving him with absolutely nowhere to run. He glances upward, realizing the stranger hasn't abandoned him to the beasts just yet. The figure on the roof shouts a warning before tossing a mysterious object into the fray. Calculated eyes watch the trajectory of the device as it falls toward the alley. The cloaked sniper deploys a tactical canister directly into the center of the ambush. Rex watches the projectile arc through the air, hoping for a miracle to save him. A red canister marked with a skull skids across the pavement near the predators. It detonates instantly, releasing a thick cloud of noxious green gas. The dinosaurs screech in confusion as the chemical agent overwhelms their sensitive noses. Rex cheers, realizing this specific gas is designed to repel prehistoric creatures. However, he realizes too late that the toxin works just as effectively on humans. The raptors scatter into the bushes, fleeing the suffocating fumes in a panic. Overcome by the gas, Rex collapses face first onto the hard concrete. The mysterious sniper stands over his unconscious body, observing the result of the rescue. With the threat gone, the stranger steps silently through the dissipating smoke. Rex's consciousness drifts away, pulling him into a strange, foggy void. A green-clad figure fades into the distance as his mind wanders into a dream. He finds himself standing alone in a gray, silent expanse. Confused, he looks around the empty space, wondering where reality went. Suddenly, a nightmare manifests, showing his mentor trapped by a dark shadow. Rex screams out to his teacher, panic seizing his heart as the memory plays out. An unseen force grabs his wrist, pulling him deeper into the hallucination. He struggles against the grip, his eyes wide with terror and anger. Shadowy tendrils surround him, forcing him to relive his recent trauma. He yells for the old man, desperate to change the past but unable to move. The vision shows his mentor's final moments, helpless against the assassin. A jagged streak of red energy tears through the darkness, shattering the nightmare. Rex stands firm, his volatile emotions fueling a sudden surge of inner power. The spirit of the beast manifests behind him, blazing with fiery intensity to protect its host. The nightmare intensifies as the red spirit looms over him, mocking his lack of control. Rex stares back in fear, sweat pouring down his face as the beast's presence feels suffocating. The vision abruptly snaps, the ominous energy retreating into the recesses of his mind. He jolts awake with a desperate scream, calling out for the mentor he failed to save. Panting heavily, he looks around the quiet alley, realizing the horror was just a dream. A strange figure in a leafy suit stands nearby, casually eating a sandwich while watching him. Rex rubs his head, complaining that the rescue gas nearly finished the job the raptors started. The stranger chews indifferently, remarking that being alive is the only thing that matters. She grumbles about the raptor interrupting her lunch, showing zero concern for his well-being. Rex dusts himself off, announcing his determination to head to the city and join the guards. The sniper pauses mid-bite, revealing that she is heading to the exact same destination. Rex lights up with hope, immediately suggesting they team up for the journey. The refusal is instant and harsh, as she asks why she would burden herself with a weakling. Rex clenches his fists in frustration, shouting that he is far stronger than he appears. She admits his resistance to the toxin is impressive, but decides he still isn't partner material. Waving a dismissive goodbye, she walks away, making it clear her decision is final. Panic sets in as Rex realizes he cannot take the entrance exam without a teammate. He reaches out desperately, shouting for her to wait and reconsider her choice. Bullets dance around his feet as she fires a rapid warning volley to force him back. She warns him coldly that the next shot won't miss if he continues to follow. Rex freezes in place, staring blankly as the threat hangs in the air. He nods slowly, seemingly accepting defeat to lower her guard. The moment she turns, he sprints after her, screaming for her to just listen for a second. The sniper glances back, annoyed that her warning shots were completely ignored. She picks up the pace, darting into the overgrown ruins to lose her persistent pursuer. Leaping across submerged cars, she moves through the debris with the grace of a cat. Her eyes narrow, confident that the difficult terrain will leave the amateur behind. To her shock, Rex appears right on her tail, matching her agility stride for stride. He pushes his body to the limit, refusing to let his only chance at the exams escape. Realizing he won't quit, the sniper draws her weapon again while running, preparing to escalate. A grappling hook shoots upward, biting deep into the concrete wall above. The sniper ascends rapidly, leaving the ground-bound boy far behind. Landing gracefully on the ledge, she turns to ensure she wasn't followed. Her eyes scan the edge, expecting him to give up and turn back. To her disbelief, Rex scales the sheer surface with his bare hands. He hauls himself over the edge, crushing the concrete grip with raw power. The sniper backs away, unsettled by his unnatural strength and determination. She deploys a series of explosive traps to slow his relentless advance. The chase leads them deep into the overgrown ruins of the city jungle. Even she begins to tire, sweat forming as he refuses to quit. Finally, a hidden snare catches him, hoisting him helplessly into the air. She stares at her captive, amazed by his sheer stubbornness. Rex cheers, mistakenly believing this means she finally accepts him. But she simply turns around, preparing to leave him hanging. His celebration dies instantly as he realizes she is walking away. He shouts in protest, demanding to be let down immediately. She explains that the cable is designed to hold massive beasts. No matter how much he thrashes, the binding refuses to break. With a cold wave, she leaves him suspended in the forest. Rex screams into the empty woods, panic setting in. She hurries her pace, annoyed by his constant shouting behind her. Suddenly, a heavy tremor shakes the trees around her. She freezes, her instincts screaming that they are not alone. Back at the trap, Rex curses his luck, still dangling helplessly. A massive Carnotaurus bursts through the foliage, hungry for prey. Its reptilian eyes lock onto the easy meal suspended before it. Rex screams for help, realizing he is literally a hanging feast. The predator opens its jaws, preparing to snap him in two. A sudden projectile slices through the air, severing the cable. Rex crashes to the ground, narrowly missing the beast's snapping teeth. Smoke drifts from the barrel as the sniper watches her shot sever the cable. She remains hidden in the foliage, observing the boy's fall through her scope. Instead of celebrating, she frantically signals for him to run immediately. Rex stands confused, completely missing the urgency of her silent warning. He grins widely, convinced that saving him means she has accepted his partnership offer. A deafening roar interrupts his delusion as the massive predator recovers from its surprise. The sniper sighs, realizing she has to intervene again to prevent a massacre. She lines up a kill shot, her finger tightening on the trigger. A hollow click echoes through the forest as the firing mechanism jams completely. Her eyes widen in horror, realizing her weapon has failed at the worst possible moment. Internal diagnostics confirm the firing pin has shattered, leaving her defenseless. The Carnotaurus shifts its gaze, charging directly at her hiding spot with terrifying speed. Desperately, she tries to clear the chamber, calculating that she needs time she doesn't have. Massive jaws lunge forward, aiming to swallow her and the bush she hides in. Fear paralyzes her as the shadow of the beast looms over her sanctuary. Suddenly, the dinosaur's momentum is halted mid-air by an unseen force. The predator strains against a sudden resistance, confused by the interruption. Rex plants his feet, gripping the massive tail with superhuman strength to save her. With a grunt of effort, he swings the colossal creature around like a rag doll. The beast crashes into the earth, the impact shaking the entire forest floor. Rex wrestles the stunned monster, screaming for the sniper to fix her gun and act fast. She stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend the raw power contained in such a small frame. Shaking off the shock, she realizes he bought her the precious seconds she needed. The Carnotaurus roars in fury, preparing to crush the nuisance clinging to its back. Rex's vision blurs as the physical toll of the feat begins to overwhelm him. 3 rapid shots ring out, striking the beast with pinpoint accuracy and ending the threat. The sniper lowers her weapon, admitting that the reckless boy actually came through. Rex lies steaming on the ground, completely spent from the exertion. She approaches cautiously, poking him to see if he survived the ordeal. He groans in pain, looking up to see an unexpected hand offered in friendship. The sniper introduces herself as Coco, reminding him that he was the one begging to tag along. Rex beams with excitement, realizing his persistence has finally paid off. He throws his hands up in victory, celebrating his new partnership with a loud cheer. Introducing himself as Rex, he looks forward to their journey ahead. However, Coco raises a finger, stating she has one strict condition before they move. She declares herself the captain, demanding absolute obedience while they travel together. Rex protests immediately, arguing that such a one-sided rule is completely unfair. Unbothered, Coco turns to leave, wishing him luck on his solo mission. Panic sets in as he realizes he has absolutely no leverage in this negotiation. Defeated, he sprints after her, agreeing to her terms to keep the team alive. As they trek through the ruins, a colorful mural on a concrete wall catches Rex's attention. He stares at the painted fruit, his stomach rumbling at the mere sight of it. Even a drawing is enough to make him drool after days of surviving on scraps. Coco scoffs, reminding him that peaches have been extinct for centuries. Rex whines loudly, his hunger overriding any logic about history or geography. She plugs her ears, asserting her authority to deny his request for a break. He points out the hypocrisy, noting that she just enjoyed a sandwich moments ago. Ignoring his complaints, she asks why he thinks she demanded to be the leader. She points a finger at him, bluntly stating that his recklessness is a liability. Coco explains that charging in without a plan will only get them killed in this environment. If he follows her strategy and orders, their chances of survival increase dramatically. Rex falls silent, realizing her cold logic holds a strange persuasive power. But his stomach disagrees, and he screams in frustration once again about the unfairness. Their argument is cut short by a sudden noise echoing from nearby. Rex pinpoints the source of the sound to a dilapidated structure ahead. Coco immediately issues an order, commanding him to investigate the disturbance. Confused, Rex asks why he has to be the one to walk into potential danger. She bluntly admits that it's dangerous, which is exactly why she is staying back. Rex realizes her strategy is simply using him as a durable human shield. Grumbling about his new role as bait, he cautiously enters the dark facility. Rex peers into an empty pool, spotting a trembling figure huddled in the corner with a pile of trash. The survivor, a cyborg clutching a bag of supplies, looks up in terror and asks if the coast is clear. Coco suddenly appears beside Rex, declaring they need to save the man, startling her partner. She warns that the rescue won't be easy, ignoring Rex's confusion about her stealthy arrival. Through her scope, she identifies the threat as a Dinosaurs, a deceptive and tricky predator. Rex squints at the creature, unimpressed by its small stature compared to the giants he's fought. Coco claims she has a foolproof strategy to rescue the survivor without any danger. Intrigued, Rex asks for the details of this so-called safe operation. Without missing a beat, she points to the pit and orders him to jump in first. Rex explodes with rage, realizing her safe plan is just using him as live bait. She calmly explains that distracting the beast is a vital tactical role, effectively confirming his fears. Below them, the cyborg watches the argument, wondering if these are actually his rescuers or just lunatics. Desperate for help, the man shouts out, mistaking the bickering duo for the elite guards he hired. Rex pauses, confused by the man's assumption, while the cyborg pleads that he has been waiting for ages. To prove his worth, the survivor reveals his treasure, a stash of rare canned white peaches. He promises that the space-grade preservation means the fruit is as fresh as the day it was sealed. The mere mention of fruit changes Rex's mind instantly, and he enthusiastically volunteers to jump in. The commotion echoes through the ruins, drawing the sharp attention of the lurking predator. Coco sighs, realizing their loud negotiation has ruined the element of surprise and alerted the enemy. She tries to shout a crucial warning about the beast's specific defense mechanism, but Rex is already moving. Ignoring her voice, Rex leaps into the pit, confident he can handle a small dinosaur on his own. Coco reaches out in vain, knowing he is diving headfirst into a trap he doesn't understand. She watches helplessly, knowing that attacking this creature thoughtlessly will lead to disaster. Rex lands with a flourish, using his speed to intimidate the creature and prepare for combat. He lunges forward, wrapping his arms around the beast to wrestle it to the ground. But the creature moves with unnatural agility, slipping through his grip like water. Its scales seem to deflect his hold, making it nearly impossible to pin down or control. Rex panics as the predator turns the tables, forcing him to scream for backup as he loses his footing. He struggles to maintain his grip, the beast thrashing wildly and proving far stronger than it looks. Despite the chaos, a grin forms on Rex's face as he realizes the enemy relies solely on speed. Coco watches from the ledge, exasperated by her partner's complete lack of tactical awareness. Rex realizes too late that the creature's skin is coated in a thick, adhesive slime. His grip fails completely as the beast whips its tail, sending him sliding across the floor. He stares at his hands in disgust, realizing the sticky substance is hindering his movements. The Dinosaurs uses the distraction to create distance, its movements fluid and unpredictable. Rex tries to chase, but his feet are glued to the ground by the rapidly hardening slime. Coco sighs from her vantage point, having predicted this exact outcome before he jumped. She explains that the dinosaur secretes a special oil that hardens on contact to immobilize prey. While the beast was distracted with Rex, Coco quietly extracts the hostage without a fight. Rex realizes he has been used as a decoy and screams for his partner to return the favor. The predator locks its gaze on the trapped boy, sensing that its meal is finally secured. Coco stares down coldly, demanding he agree to her terms before she lifts a finger. She refuses to fire a shot until he verbally commits to following her command structure. Rex argues that this is hardly the time for negotiations, but she remains immovable. The dinosaur opens its jaws to strike, yet the sniper waits patiently for his submission. With death staring him in the face, Rex swallows his pride and screams his agreement. Satisfied, Coco tosses a small device down to him just as the beast lunges. A blinding flash erupts between them, disorienting the sensitive eyes of the nocturnal predator. Taking advantage of the stun, Coco drags her stiff, statue-like partner out of the danger zone. Rex complains loudly about the rescue method as they retreat, blinded by his own salvation. The Delphosaurus shakes its head, temporarily incapacitated by the intense burst of light. The trio makes a chaotic escape, with the paralyzed powerhouse serving as awkward luggage. Behind them, the predator's yellow eye snaps open, burning with renewed fury. It roars and gives chase, refusing to let its prey escape so easily. Suddenly, a heavy impact strikes the wall near the beast, halting its pursuit. A high-tech crossbow lowers, held by a new arrival who stepped in to intervene. A mysterious figure smirks, amused to find someone else doing their job. Two elite S-rank guards step out of the shadows, accusing the duo of stealing their identity. They turn to their leader for instructions, their relaxed posture hiding deadly intent. The SSS rank leader approaches, sensing that Rex and Coco might be allies rather than criminals. Rex lies on the ground, stunned and confused as the elite officers turn their backs on him. The SSS rank leader glances back with a cold, dismissive expression, finding the rookies beneath his notice. Without a word of gratitude, he orders his subordinate to leave, abandoning the trio in the ruins. Rex shouts in disbelief, realizing the so-called heroes have just robbed them blind. The cyborg confirms the bad news, stating that the high-ranking guards confiscated all the supplies as a tax. Rex fumes with anger, his stomach growling loudly as the promise of delicious peaches vanishes. Frustrated, he storms off, complaining that saving the survivor was a complete waste of energy. The cyborg apologizes profusely, feeling guilty for having nothing to offer his rescuers but trouble. Despite his annoyance, Rex grudgingly allows the man to follow, though the cyborg finds his mood swings unsettling. Their walk is abruptly interrupted when a crude spear slams into the ground inches from their feet. Rex stares at the vibrating weapon, realizing they have walked straight into an ambush. A menacing voice echoes from the shadows, mocking their boldness for entering this territory. A heavy boot steps forward as the owner of the voice reveals himself from the undergrowth. Three bizarrely dressed thugs block the path, eyeing the group as potential sacrifices for their cult. Rex and Coco exchange confused glances, wondering if these are just common thieves looking for a fight. The leader laughs off their confusion, while the cyborg tries to bluff by claiming he is protected by guards. Terrified, the cyborg cowers behind Rex, hoping his lie will scare the bandits away. The horned leader's grin widens, intrigued rather than intimidated by the mention of guards. He welcomes the challenge, revealing a twisted excitement at the prospect of hunting strong prey. He identifies his group as the Saurians, the fanatical cultists who hunt guards for sport. More cultists appear on the surrounding rooftops, surrounding the trio from all sides with lethal intent. The cyborg panics, realizing his bluff has only made them primary targets for the fanatics. With a sharp command, the Saurian leader orders his minions to slaughter the intruders. A horde of fanatics leaps from the structures, weapons drawn and screaming for blood. Rex grits his teeth, preparing to fight his way out of the sudden swarm. The alley erupts into chaos as Rex and Coco are forced into a desperate brawl against the mob. Rex punches through the crowd, overwhelmed by the sheer number of attackers swarming him. Coco remains calm, drawing her dual pistols from beneath her camouflage suit. She unleashes a torrent of precise gunfire, dropping enemies with lethal efficiency. As the smoke clears, she stands victorious, leaving Rex envious of her impressive firepower. The cultist leader halts the attack, warning his men not to damage their precious sacrifice. A massive brute wearing a paper bag ignores the order, charging straight for the sniper. With a single swipe, he knocks the pistols from Coco's hands, disarming her instantly. She hits the ground hard, wincing as her primary means of defense skitters away. Her eyes widen in genuine fear as the colossal figure looms over her. The giant steps closer, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground as he prepares to crush her. Rex screams in fury, leaping into the fray to intercept the fatal blow. He slams into the brute, throwing a desperate punch to drive him back. Adrenaline fuels his strikes as he fights to protect his fallen partner. His fist connects solidly with the paper bag mask, the impact echoing through the alley. Rex grins with confidence, certain that such a powerful hit has ended the battle. To his shock, the giant stands unmoved, absorbing the blow without flinching. The masked face stares down blankly, leaving Rex questioning if his attack even registered. A massive arm swings out, the counterattack coming faster than Rex can react. He gasps in pain as the heavy limb slams into his side like a battering ram. Stumbling back, he realizes the sheer gap in physical strength between them. The giant swings again, and Rex barely manages to duck under the lethal arc. The brute announces the real fight has just begun, launching a piston-like punch. Rex braces himself, but the overwhelming force breaks through his guard completely. He is sent hurtling through the air, crashing violently into the rubble. The horned leader laughs, ordering his minions to tie up the defeated intruders. Coco glares in silence as she is bound, her weapons confiscated by the cultists. The cyborg trembles as their captors explain they will be fed to the beasts as offerings. Rex struggles uselessly against his restraints, dragged away by a masked thug. The leader rants about purifying the world, his face twisted with fanaticism. Unseen by the guards, Coco's expression shifts from defeat to cold calculation. Her fingers deftly manipulate a hidden device concealed behind her back. A sudden explosion rocks the area, releasing a rapidly expanding cloud of smoke. The cultists cough and stumble in the blinding fog, losing sight of their prisoners. Rex and Coco sprint away into the cover of the smoke, escaping the jaws of the cult. Rex and Coco sprint away, agreeing that they never want to face those maniacs again. Suddenly, Rex skids to a halt, realizing a critical piece of their group is missing. They stare at the empty space behind them, silence hanging heavy in the air. Panic sets in as they scream in unison, realizing they completely forgot the hostage. Meanwhile, deep in the jungle ruins, the cultists have returned to their ritual site. A crowd of fanatics gathers around a lone pillar, eagerly awaiting a spectacle. The poor cyborg is bound tightly to the wood, serving as the centerpiece for their ceremony. From the safety of the bushes, Rex and Coco observe the grim situation. Coco notes the overwhelming numbers, realizing a direct assault is suicide. Rex rubs his chin, suggesting they cut their losses since survival matters more than peaches. He laughs nervously, trying to convince himself that he isn't even hungry anymore. But Coco halts his retreat, her sharp eyes catching a detail he missed. Nearby, a massive herd of triceratops grazes peacefully by the water. A devious plan forms in her mind as she connects the dots between the herd and the cult. At the altar, the cult leader preaches about humanity's sins and the judgment of nature. The captive trembles as the fanatic declares that dinosaurs are the true masters of this world. He screams that the saurians exist to facilitate this divine purification. The mob roars in approval, demanding a blood sacrifice to appease their gods. With a dramatic gesture, the leader invites the beasts to come forth and claim their offering. Right on cue, the dense foliage begins to shake violently. The cyborg stares in horror, believing his executioner has arrived. The sound of heavy movement grows louder, signaling something large approaching. But instead of a monster, Rex bursts from the tree line carrying a strange object. The leader's jaw drops, stunned to see the boy he thought had fled in terror. Rex ignores the confusion, his expression focused solely on his dangerous task. Recovering quickly, the villain laughs, assuming the fool has returned to die. Rex sprints past the bewildered crowd, running for his life rather than fighting. The fanatics squint, finally noticing the small, struggling bundle in his hands. To their horror, they realize he is clutching a kidnapped baby triceratops. The color drains from their faces as they understand the catastrophe he has just unleashed. The cultists scream in terror as their ritual is violently interrupted by a force of nature. A massive triceratops charges through the smoke, crushing everything in its path to reach its child. Debris rains down on the helpless cyborg as the facility crumbles around him. Fanatics are sent flying into the air as the enraged beast tears through their ranks. The cyborg screams for salvation, terrified he will be collateral damage in the stampede. Rex navigates the chaos, his plan to use the herd working a little too well. Coco spots an opening and moves in to secure the hostage while the enemy is distracted. The cyborg weeps with relief, having thought his rescuers had abandoned him to die. They sprint to safety, leaving the cultists to deal with the angry dinosaurs. Rex releases the baby dinosaur, complaining that he always gets the riskiest jobs. He realizes he needs to vanish before the herd decides he is also a threat. A cold chill runs down his spine as he remembers the one enemy who didn't fall. Heavy footsteps shake the ground, freezing Rex in his tracks. The paper bag brute emerges from the smoke, blocking the only exit. Rex curses under his breath, realizing his stamina is already depleted. The giant launches a devastating punch, forcing Rex to react on instinct. He barely ducks under the massive arm, feeling the wind of the blow. Rex tries to find an opening, but the brute's defense is impenetrable. Another heavy swing forces him to leap backward to avoid being crushed. The enemy presses the attack, his movement surprisingly fast for his size. Rex is thrown back by the shockwave of the strike, skidding across the dirt. The brute stares down at him, his mask hiding any sign of emotion. He commends the boy's bravery, though his voice promises only death. Rex struggles to stand, his body screaming for rest after the continuous fighting. The giant advances slowly, preparing to deliver the final fatal blow. Suddenly, Coco's voice cuts through the noise, screaming for him to use the weapon. Rex's eyes widen as he remembers the special gear she entrusted to him. His mind flashes back to their argument in the woods just moments ago. He recalls accusing her of trying to get him killed with her reckless plans. In the memory, Coco reluctantly hands over a massive high-tech firearm. Rex recalls the weapon is a relic from the old military, a photon particle cannon. In the flashback, he asks where she found it, but she cuts him off to explain the rules. She warns that it kills in one shot but overheats, so it must be saved for a true emergency. Back in the fight, Rex's eyes light up as he remembers the ultimate weapon on his back. The masked brute pauses, confused by the sudden surge of confidence in his prey. Rex pulls out the massive device, shouting that this will finish the battle instantly. Instead of pulling the trigger, he swings the high-tech firearm like a primitive club. The expensive machinery shatters on impact as he smashes it directly into the giant's face. Coco watches in stunned silence, her jaw dropping at the misuse of ancient technology. The brute's mask tears apart as the force of the blow knocks him completely senseless. With a heavy thud, the invincible giant collapses into the debris, defeated in a single strike. Rex stands over the body, panting and amazed by the devastating power he just unleashed. He cheers wildly, holding up the broken debris and praising the weapon's one-shot capability. Coco facepalms in despair, unable to believe he just destroyed their trump card. The other cultists spot their fallen comrade and scream for the intruder's capture. Rex realizes it's time to go and sprints away, shouting for everyone to run. A stampede of dinosaurs chases them, adding to the chaos of their desperate escape. The horned leader steps through the smoke, finding his strongest warrior lying in the dirt. He inspects the scene with cold eyes, realizing these intruders are more than mere pests. A sinister grin spreads across his face as he orders a full-scale hunt for the survivors. Later, the trio walks through the safety of the forest, completely drained by the ordeal. Rex sighs with relief, glad to finally be away from the cultists and the beasts. He brags to his partner, asking if she is impressed by how well his plan worked. When she glares at him, he asks innocently if something is wrong with her mood. Coco silently holds up the twisted, broken remains of the particle cannon. Rex shouts in shock that he didn't know it was a gun, while the cyborg looks at him like he's an idiot. She grumbles that she knew he was dumb, but not this dumb, while he blames the chaotic situation. Rex laughs it off, suggesting they just make the next one more durable for melee combat. Coco sighs, lamenting that she was saving that firepower for a much deadlier enemy. She looks at him with resignation, deciding that he needs to find a weapon that actually suits his style. Rex holds out his hand, demanding she share some of her arsenal with him. Coco walks away coldly, refusing to let him touch her precious babies. Their bickering dies down as they spot their destination through the trees. The cyborg points excitedly, announcing that they have finally reached civilization. Boomtown rises from the wreckage, a fortified haven for survivors. The streets are alive with a chaotic mix of cyborgs and scavengers. Rex stares in disbelief as a girl casually rides a triceratops past him. He stands frozen, completely overwhelmed by the noise and life of the city. Coco asks if he's ever been to a town, noting his wide-eyed expression. Rex admits his mentor forbade it, warning him to stay in the wild. She shrugs off the mystery, more interested in getting food than hearing stories. The cyborg leads them to a hidden spot, promising a legendary meal as thanks. Rex tilts his head, admitting he has absolutely no idea what curry is. His guide is shocked by the ignorance, insisting it will change his life. A steaming plate of golden curry is placed on the counter with a flourish. Rex sits skeptically beside his partner, unimpressed by the presentation. He complains loudly, disappointed that this isn't the canned fruit he wanted. With a threat to riot if it tastes bad, he takes a hesitant spoonful. A symphony of flavor explodes in his mouth, triggering a spiritual awakening. He devours the meal with ferocious speed, screaming his absolute delight. Crazed with hunger, he demands the chef hand over the entire stock. Coco stands up to leave, having better things to do than watch him eat. Rex immediately tries to claim her leftovers as she heads for the door. She steps out into the alley, her mind shifting back to business. Locals stare in confusion as a walking bush navigates their marketplace. She ignores the strange looks, focused on finding a specific shop. A mechanic listens to her request, chewing gum while assessing the job. Coco moves on to gather intel, asking a local about dangerous predators. She specifically inquires if anyone has spotted a large theropod nearby. The man looks at her like she's crazy, warning that people usually avoid those monsters. Coco's investigation is cut short as a frantic warning echoes through the streets. A terrified local screams that the dreaded Saurian cult has invaded the town. Rex pauses mid-bite, his curry suddenly forgotten as the threat registers. High above the settlement, the horned leader stands with his dark disciples. He confirms with his scouts that their prey is definitely hiding within these walls. A masked minion eagerly verifies that the targets were tracked to this exact location. The leader adjusts his scarf, a sinister satisfaction settling over his features. He commands his forces to capture the boy alive, needing him for their dark rituals. Wind whips around his cape as he claims the prize solely for himself. Strange seals and iron nails bind his arm, hinting at a volatile power kept in check. With a final intense glare, he unleashes his hunters upon the unsuspecting populace. Coco bursts into the dining room, startling Rex with her sudden urgency. She delivers the grim news that their persistent enemies have tracked them down. Rex stands up immediately, ready to move but refusing to leave his meal behind. The naive cyborg cheers, mistakenly believing the heroes are rushing out to defend the city. Instead of fighting, the duo sprints for the back exit, choosing flight over valor. Rex prioritizes his stomach, mastering the art of eating while sprinting for his life. The cyborg waves goodbye in confusion, while cultists begin swarming the rooftops above. Coco glances back, her conscience pricked by the chaos they are leaving in their wake. In the streets, the cultists begin brutalizing innocent civilians to extract information. They demand the location of the grass monster and the monkey boy from terrified locals. A helpless man begs for mercy, having no idea who the intruders are looking for. Rex and Coco skid to a halt, witnessing the brutality inflicted on the townspeople. Coco decides they can't just run, insisting they need to draw the enemy away from the city. Rex tries to ask for clarification, but his mouth is still completely full of food. She explains that innocent people are suffering because of their presence, and they must act. Swallowing his food, Rex asks what kind of strategy she has cooked up this time. Coco's eyes narrow with determination as she formulates a plan to save the town. Rex stares blankly, realizing her strategy likely involves him doing something stupid. Moments later, he leaps into the open, screaming to get the attention of the killers. Rex taunts the invaders, making himself the loudest target in the city. The cultists spot him instantly, their fury overriding any tactical caution. Rex sprints away, lamenting that he always ends up as the live bait. A scout reports the escape attempt to the horned leader watching from above. The captain smiles cruelly, ordering his pack to hunt them down. Rex leads the angry mob out of the ruins and into the dense jungle. The pursuers close the distance, eager to catch the insolent brat. They mock him as a trapped rat, unaware they are running into a kill zone. A masked thug reaches out, convinced the chase is finally over. A heavy boot slams down onto a concealed pressure plate. The ground erupts beneath them, blasting the front line with explosive force. The cultists stumble back, realizing too late that they walked into a trap. Rex stops running and turns to face his disoriented pursuers. He digs his heels in, watching the next phase of the plan activate. Automated turrets rise from the bushes, locking onto the enemies with red lasers. The machines open fire, unleashing a storm of suppression rounds. Cultists are knocked off their feet, overwhelmed by the sudden mechanical ambush. The squad lies groaning in the dirt, completely neutralized by the crossfire. Rex wipes his brow, impressed that Coco's gadgets actually worked. He brags to the fallen foes that the smart turrets are programmed to spare allies. His confidence vanishes as the lasers suddenly lock onto his own chest. A commanding voice orders the minions to move aside as a dark presence approaches. The horned leader leaps into the fray, moving faster than the turrets can track. Rex braces himself, realizing the main boss has entered the battlefield. The villain strikes with a bladed weapon, aiming to end the fight in one move. Rex's eyes glow white as he shouts the signal for the real trap. A sharp eye watches through a scope, waiting for the perfect moment. A massive spike of energy erupts from the earth, engulfing the combatants. Coco emerges from her camouflage, satisfied that the bait worked perfectly. Smoke rises from the crater, obscuring the fate of those caught in the blast. Rex peers into the dust, foolishly asking if the enemy is finally down. Coco cringes in the bushes, recognizing the classic jinx the moment it is spoken. The smoke clears to reveal the horned leader standing completely unharmed. Coco buries her face in her hands, realizing her partner just flagged a boss fight. The villain sighs deeply, expressing his disappointment in their amateur traps. He glares with intensity, stating he has no time for their petty parlor tricks. With a sudden burst of speed, he rushes forward to end the game. Chains rattle violently as he charges with the momentum of a beast. He becomes a blur of motion, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Rex is caught off guard, finding the enemy in his personal space instantly. His eyes widen in shock as he realizes he cannot track the movement. A devastating punch connects with his guard, shaking his entire frame. The force of the blow sends Rex flying backward through the air. The leader's eyes lock onto his target, refusing to let the pressure drop. Rex grimaces in pain, tumbling helplessly through the sky. He spins out of control, unable to regain his balance against the assault. The world turns upside down as he struggles to find a safe landing. The enemy pursues relentlessly, launching another strike before Rex can recover. Rex blocks a heavy kick, shouting in frustration at the overwhelming power. He yells back that he is completely out of plans to handle this. With a desperate twist, he forces his body to correct its trajectory. He skids across the dirt, finally managing to halt his backward momentum. Clutching his throbbing arm, he urgently suggests to Coco that they retreat. The leader begins unbinding his arm, admitting he should have done this sooner. Rex watches warily, sensing a terrifying spike in the enemy's aura. The villain proclaims his power is a gift from God as he loosens the straps. Heavy chains drop to the ground, freeing the limb from its cage. Muscles bulge and shift as the arm expands into something monstrous. Coco stares in horror, realizing the leader has grafted a beast onto his body. He reveals a massive dinosaur arm, vowing to tear them to pieces with his primal strength. A massive impact sends debris flying everywhere as the attack connects. Rex is thrown backward, his face twisted in shock from the overwhelming force. Coco screams out, watching the devastation unfold before her eyes. He crashes into the earth with bone-shaking force, burying him in rubble. The villain boasts that this raw strength is nothing less than divine power. The monstrous limb descends again, aiming to crush him into the dirt. Rex lies in the crater, his mind reeling from the heavy blow. A strange red energy envelops him as he rises from the debris. Coco watches in silence, unsure of what is happening to her partner. His eyes glow with a feral intensity, unrecognizable to his ally. With a sudden burst of speed, he clashes head-on against the monster. Meanwhile, a frantic messenger sprints through the cult's headquarters. He bursts into the council room, desperate to deliver urgent news. The elite commanders turn their gaze toward the sudden interruption. They discuss the sudden appearance of a new, powerful threat. Skepticism runs high as they question the validity of the report. The messenger pleads for his life, insisting the danger is real. One commander sighs, annoyed by the increasing complications. The leader realizes a loose end from the past has returned. His eyes narrow as he decides to handle this anomaly personally. Rex's consciousness slowly drifts back into focus. He blinks at the ceiling, the red rage completely gone. He finds himself standing alone in a quiet, sunlit corridor. A familiar silhouette calls out to him from the shadows. The vision fades, replaced by the harsh reality of the waking world. Rex sits up, his head pounding with questions. He rubs his temples, unable to recall how the battle ended. Coco stands nearby, her expression unreadable as she watches him. She realizes he has no memory of the power he just unleashed. She reveals the chilling words the enemy spoke during his blackout. Rex stares at himself in disbelief, struggling to accept that he defeated the enemy while unconscious. He examines his hands for answers, but his memory of the battle is a complete void. Confusion turns to frustration as he tries to decipher the villain's cryptic final words about a brother. Coco watches him silently from the side, her expression hardening as she makes a difficult choice. She abruptly announces that their partnership ends right here and now. Rex is blindsided by the rejection, shouting in protest as she turns to walk away. She explains that his connection to the Saurian cult is a danger she refuses to get involved with. With a dismissive wave, she bids him farewell, leaving him standing alone in the street. Desperate, Rex grabs her leafy suit, screaming that he isn't a cultist and begging her to stay. Annoyed by the physical contact, she sighs and agrees to take him along if he lets go. Rex beams with excitement, completely missing the reluctance in her voice. She raises a finger, stating that there is one non-negotiable condition for his return. Pointing toward the wild, she orders him to steal a Pentasaurus egg to satisfy her sudden craving. Rex yells in annoyance, asking why every mission she gives him involves stealing from monsters. Coco smiles mischievously, framing the dangerous errand as a test of his loyalty. Grumbling but obedient, Rex sprints off to find the nest, leaving her behind. As soon as he vanishes, Coco's smile fades, revealing that the nest doesn't even exist. She admits to herself that lying was the only way to shake off someone so stubborn. Her face shows a hint of guilt, but she decides she doesn't have time for his mysterious baggage. With her eyes fixed on the horizon, she reaffirms her solitary goal of becoming a guard. The overgrown city ruins stand quiet as the two companions split up for good. Coco walks alone through the wreckage, her camouflage suit blending perfectly with the greenery. She stealthily bypasses a herd of dinosaurs, moving like a ghost through the urban jungle. Putting miles between herself and the boy, she treks deeper into the untamed wild. Finally stopping to catch her breath, she leans against a sign, thinking she is finally free. A sudden rustle in the bushes behind her makes her freeze in place. The sound of heavy movement gets closer, suggesting she is being followed. Dread fills her eyes as she assumes the persistent rookie has tracked her down again. A vicious predator bursts through the foliage, roaring with lethal intent. Coco sighs with immense relief, thankful that it is just a deadly beast and not Rex. Rex suddenly pops out of the bushes, asking where he fits into her plans. Coco stares in disbelief, asking why he abandoned the mission she gave him. He scratches his head, admitting he has absolutely no idea what that dinosaur looks like. Her shoulders slump as she realizes her plan to get rid of him has failed. Their awkward reunion is cut short by a heavy thud shaking the ground. The massive predator from earlier looms over them, hungry for a second chance. Coco mutters that killing a beast is far simpler than dealing with this boy. She shoulders her rifle, promising to help him after he finishes his errand. Rex hesitates, worried that his partner can't handle such a ferocious creature alone. The beast roars and charges, closing the distance with terrifying speed. Coco remains ice cold, tracking the target through her scope with practiced ease. Her finger tightens on the trigger, calculating the perfect moment to end the fight. She exhales slowly, her entire world narrowing down to a single point of impact. Suddenly, a familiar sense of dread washes over her as the weapon feels wrong. She wonders if the lack of maintenance has finally caught up with her cherished gear. Rex points out the obvious, panic rising in his voice as the teeth get closer. The predator fills her vision, its jaws opening wide to swallow them whole. She frantically shakes the rifle, praying for the mechanism to engage before it's too late. Saliva drips from the beast's fangs as it lunges for the kill. Desperation fuels her movements as she forces the jammed weapon to cooperate. Rex's hand shoots out, grabbing the barrel of her rifle before she can fire. Using the precision instrument as a blunt club, he smashes it directly into the dinosaur's face. Metal crunches and glass shatters as the expensive weapon disintegrates on impact. Coco watches in slow motion, her soul leaving her body as her treasure is destroyed. The beast is sent reeling, knocked unconscious by the sheer force of the improper strike. Rex cheers victoriously, holding the twisted remains of the rifle like a trophy. He turns to his partner with a grin, completely oblivious to the crime he just committed. She stares blankly at the scrap metal that used to be her pride and joy. Rex notices her silence, his smile fading as the atmosphere turns deadly. Pure murderous rage radiates from her as she banishes him from her sight forever. A grappling gun slams directly into Rex's face as Coco unleashes her fury. He tries to laugh it off, sweating nervously while begging for a chance to explain. Coco responds by hurling every object within reach, pelting him with grenades and supplies. She stands panting, her anger simmering as she glares at the boy who ruined her life. Her eyes burn with cold hatred as she declares that touching her rifle was the ultimate sin. Rex reaches out to stop her, sensing that she is about to do something drastic. A smoke bomb detonates at his feet, engulfing the area in a thick, blinding cloud. Rex coughs and waves his arms, shouting for his partner in the sudden fog. As the smoke clears, he finds himself alone, staring at the empty forest where she stood. Coco sprints through the woods, putting as much distance as possible between herself and the idiot. She runs with focused determination, refusing to look back at her former companion. Memories of her beloved rifle flash through her mind, fueling her sorrow. Tears well up in her eyes as she vows never to forgive him for destroying her treasure. Distracted by her grief, she fails to notice the ground disappearing beneath her feet. She tumbles into a hidden pit, her spare weapon flying from her grasp. Landing with a thud, she sits in the dirt, annoyed by her own carelessness. A maniacal laugh echoes from above as a shadow looms over the trap. A pale cultist peers down, ecstatic to have captured the brother's companion all by himself. Coco looks up unimpressed, recognizing the fanatic as another member of the Saurian cult. She calmly rummages through her cloak, calculating the height of the wall. Her hands search for her grappling hook, confident she can simply climb out. Panic sets in as she remembers she threw her grappling gun at Rex's face just moments ago. The cultist hoists a massive boulder, threatening to crush her like a bug. Coco freezes, realizing she is actually trapped and defenseless against the rock. The fanatic prepares to drop the stone, eager to claim his kill. He pauses mid-throw, confused by her sudden lack of reaction. Coco stares him down, casually mentioning that crushing her might be a bad idea. She lies boldly, claiming her body is strapped with enough explosives to level the forest. The cultist hesitates, his survival instinct warring with his bloodlust. Coco intensifies her glare, warning that dropping that rock will send him flying into the stratosphere. The cultist hesitates, recalling strict orders to capture the target alive rather than crush her. He decides to leave her trapped in the pit while he runs off to fetch reinforcements. Coco remains silent, her expression unreadable as the footsteps fade away. She lets out a heavy sigh of relief, revealing that her threat of explosives was a complete bluff. Knowing she has limited time before the enemy returns, she inspects the walls for an escape route. A familiar, annoying voice echoes from the forest, freezing her in her tracks. Coco's eyes widen in dread as she recognizes the shout of her unwanted partner. She screams for him to stay away, desperate to avoid any more of his help. Ignoring her warning, Rex peers over the edge, thrilled to have found her hiding spot. Coco waves her hands frantically, trying to stop the disaster she sees coming. Rex leaps from the ledge with a heroic shout, plummeting straight toward her. He crashes into the dirt with a heavy thud, kicking up a cloud of dust in the confined space. Coco covers her face in despair, unable to believe he just trapped himself along with her. Rex bursts from the dust cloud with a grin, proudly announcing his arrival to save the day. She stares at him with dead eyes, reminding him that she explicitly told him to get lost. Coco points out the irony that his rescue mission has only resulted in 2 prisoners instead of 1. Undeterred, Rex whips out the grappling gun he pulled from his face earlier. Coco's demeanor changes instantly as she realizes he actually brought a way out. She snatches the device from his hands without a word of thanks. Aiming the hook upward, she prepares to leave this hole and her partner behind. She apologizes coldly, making it clear that this ticket out is for 1 passenger only. Coco declares that she will be the only one escaping today. Rex stares in shock, hurt that she would abandon him after he came back for her. She tells him that finding a way out is now his personal problem. With a final farewell, she pulls the trigger, expecting to soar to freedom. Instead of launching, the device merely clicks, failing to fire. Rex yells at her for being so heartless, while she stares at the broken gadget in confusion. Defeated by karma, she slumps to the ground, realizing they are both stuck. She sits in silence, tinkering with the useless device while ignoring his presence. Rex breaks the tension, asking if she is still holding a grudge about the broken rifle. Coco curls up in the corner, her anger shifting into a deep, quiet sorrow. She quietly reveals that the shattered weapon was the only keepsake of a lost loved one. Rex freezes, the weight of his careless mistake finally crashing down on him. Defensive, he shouts that he couldn't possibly have known its secret history. Coco ignores his excuses, turning her back to shut him out completely. Frustrated by the silence, Rex yells that he doesn't care and sits on the opposite side. Night falls over the forest, the moon casting a cold light into their prison. Rex lies awake, staring at the wall as guilt gnaws at his conscience. Across the pit, Coco sleeps while clutching the broken pieces of her treasure. He watches her, realizing that his clumsiness destroyed something irreplaceable. In a somber tone, she begins to explain the true origin of the rifle. Her eyes darken as she recalls the tragic past attached to the weapon. She reveals that the gun originally belonged to her beloved older sister. Flashbacks show a peaceful mountain village where children played without fear. It was a safe haven, far removed from the territories of dangerous predators. But peace was shattered when a massive carnivore suddenly appeared. Rex listens intently, surprised to hear about a dinosaur attack in the mountains. The beast rampaged unchecked, wiping out her entire home in a single day. Young Coco hid in terror, surviving only because her sister acted as a shield. She emerged from the rubble to find her protector gone, leaving only the weapon behind. With trembling hands, she took up the rifle, inheriting both the tool and the trauma. From that day forward, she dedicated her entire existence to a single goal. Her innocent childhood ended, replaced by a burning desire for survival and revenge. Back in the present, she explains that to him, it was just a piece of metal. But for her, that rifle was worth more than her own life. Rex looks away, unable to meet her gaze after hearing the heartbreaking truth. He touches the tooth necklace he wears, suddenly understanding exactly how she feels. Memories of his own mentor flood back, reminding him of the weight of a legacy. Dropping his pride, Rex offers a sincere apology for the pain he caused. Coco looks up, surprised to hear genuine remorse from the usually brash boy. Coco agrees to help him escape, but only under one strict condition while prepping the device. She states firmly that once they reach the surface, their partnership is permanently dissolved. Rex accepts the terms without argument, understanding the gravity of his mistake. Coco explains she will ascend first and then toss the grappling gun back down for him. The hook shoots upward, biting firmly into the rock ledge high above their heads. With a swift tug to test the hold, she prepares to hoist herself out of the pit. Safely on the surface, she peers over the edge, looking down at the boy she is leaving behind. Her expression is unreadable, and for a moment she doesn't move to drop the lifeline. Rex stares back in silence, wondering if she is actually considering abandoning him there. Breaking the tension, she dangles the device and laughs at his terrified expression before dropping it. He catches the weapon, annoyed that she would joke around after such a serious conversation. Grumbling to himself, Rex begins the arduous climb up the steep canyon wall. He hauls himself over the ledge, his annoyance growing with every inch of progress. Dusting off his knees, he prepares to give her a piece of his mind for the scare. He starts to shout her name, but the words die instantly in his throat. His eyes widen in shock as he processes the terrifying scene in front of him. Coco has been captured, held at gunpoint by a towering woman and her pale subordinate. The tall woman steps forward, her interest piqued by the arrival of a second intruder. She looms over them, her masked face and powerful aura revealing her high rank within the cult. Rex shouts in disbelief, realizing they have stumbled directly into another Saurian patrol. The pale henchman lifts Coco off the ground like a toy, asking his captain for orders. He eyes the disguised sniper with a twisted interest, deciding to claim the prisoner for himself. Seeing his partner in danger, Rex screams her name and abandons all caution. He launches himself at the enemies, fueled by rage and a desire to protect her. Before he can land a hit, an invisible force slams into him, sending him flying backward. The female captain lowers her hand, her eye glowing with a sinister purple light. Rex struggles to rise, realizing that brute strength is useless against this opponent. She aims a specialized pistol, explaining that physical attacks are not her only method. A dart strikes Rex's chest, injecting a potent toxin directly into his bloodstream. As he pulls the needle out, she coldly informs him that obedience is the only way to get the antidote. The masked captain inspects the captured sniper rifle, her interest piqued by the high-quality weapon. She turns the barrel toward the captive, questioning how a mere child acquired such a masterpiece. Deeming the owner unworthy of the tool, the captain coldly orders her subordinate to dispose of the girl. Rex's eyes widen in panic as the death sentence is pronounced right in front of him. Ignoring the poison coursing through his veins, he screams a desperate warning to leave his partner alone. He tries to lunge forward, but his legs betray him as the toxin takes full effect. His vision swims and blurs, the world spinning out of control as his body shuts down. Gravity claims him as he collapses, his muscles refusing to obey his commands. Helpless on the ground, he can only watch as the executioner prepares to strike. The cultists look down with amusement, mocking his futile attempt to play the hero while paralyzed. They remind him that while he must remain alive, there are no rules against inflicting severe pain. Blow after blow rains down on him, and he is physically unable to raise a hand in defense. Guilt hits harder than the kicks as he realizes his weakness has doomed his friend. Coco watches the brutal display, her expression shifting from fear to a quiet resolve. She thinks back to her lifelong dream of joining the elite guards and the treasures she swore to protect. Rex grits his teeth, refusing to let his consciousness fade despite the beating. Suddenly, a blur of green motion interrupts the assault, catching the thugs off guard. The henchman stumbles back, shocked that the useless captive has joined the fray. The cultists panic, confused as to how their paralyzed target is finding the strength to resist. Taking advantage of the confusion, Coco scoops up her paralyzed partner and makes a break for it. She sprints into the dense tree line, hauling his heavy weight with surprising strength. The captain watches them flee, intrigued by the boy's resilience against the toxin. She holds up the only cure, confident that their escape is merely a temporary delay. Without the antidote in her hand, the boy's fate is already sealed. Under the cover of night, the fugitives seek shelter in the ruins of an old chapel. Coco collapses from exhaustion, dumping her paralyzed cargo onto the cold stone floor. She glares at him, furious that he threw away his chance to escape just to save her. She scolds him harshly, demanding to know why he risked everything for someone who abandoned him. Rex struggles to speak, his voice barely a whisper as the poison tightens its grip. With his last ounce of strength, he hands over the grappling gun, apologizing for failing to save her rifle. Coco stares into the distance, her mind racing with a plan to turn the tables. She realizes that stealth alone won't save them. She needs overwhelming firepower. With a heavy sigh, she stands up, ready to utilize the arsenal she has been hoarding. The sun begins to rise over the ruins, casting long shadows across the dangerous city. She recalls a hidden safe house marked with graffiti, a place where she stashed her supplies. In a flashback, Rex is shown emptying his wallet to buy an absurd amount of military gear. The merchant questions their sanity, but Coco confirms they need every single item in the shop. Back in the present, she lays out a staggering collection of guns, ammo, and explosives. Her hands move with practiced speed, assembling custom firearms from scattered parts. She crafts improvised gadgets and bombs, turning raw components into lethal tools. Every spring and barrel is meticulously cleaned to ensure zero malfunctions during the fight. Coco tests the weight of a heavy shotgun, a confident wink revealing her return to form. Piles of high-caliber ammunition are sorted, ready to be unleashed upon the enemy. She pulls her camouflage hood up tight, transforming herself into a ghost of the forest. She grips a modified submachine gun, the cold metal offering a sense of security. Her primary rifle is strapped tight to her back, ready for instant deployment. She keeps her binoculars handy, scanning the perimeter for the perfect entry point. Giant sauropods roam the skyline at dusk, ignoring the human conflict brewing below. A lone sentry stretches in the darkness, completely unaware of the predator lurking nearby. His yawn is cut short as a cold blade suddenly presses against his throat. Coco emerges from the shadows, whispering a demand to be taken to the captain immediately. The terrified captive leads her toward a heavily fortified industrial silo used as a base. High above, sharp-eyed lookouts on the roof spot movement in the courtyard. They see their comrade walking with hands raised, shadowed by a dark, leafy figure. The hostage sweats profusely, knowing he is walking straight into a deadly crossfire. He breaks under the pressure, screaming for mercy and claiming he was forced to help. Coco ignores his desperate pleas, her eyes focus solely on the mission ahead. The guards on the roof panic, realizing the intruder has boldly breached their perimeter. Sirens blare across the facility, announcing the attack to the entire cult. The cultists are stunned to realize that this one-woman army is the only threat they face. Coco raises her hands in surrender, stepping into the light with a deceptive look of defeat. The cultists stare down from the catwalks, confused by the sudden appearance of their enemy. They scream furiously, demanding to know why she would walk straight into their trap. Coco calmly explains that she isn't here to fight, but to negotiate a trade. Two heavy guards flank her immediately, escorting the prisoner deeper into the lair. The masked captain lounges on her throne, holding the stolen sniper rifle like a trophy. Coco offers to reveal Rex's location, but only if her precious weapon is returned. She lies coldly, claiming she doesn't care if they kill the boy once she has her gear. The captain tilts her head, admitting she had no immediate plans to execute him anyway. She reveals that while the boy is being watched, his life or death means nothing to her. Coco blinks in confusion, caught off guard by the villain's total indifference. Bored with the conversation, the captain orders her men to lock Coco up for the morning sacrifice. A guard shoves her down a dark corridor, leading her toward the holding cells. They pass massive industrial fans, the noise masking the sound of her scheming. Coco side-eyes a junction box, her mind already calculating the perfect moment to strike. The guards stop her, demanding she drop every weapon concealed under her suit. An absurd avalanche of firearms clatters to the floor as she shakes her cloak. The henchmen gawk in disbelief, wondering how one person carried an entire armory. Before they can react, Coco reveals she kept 2 pistols in her hands. She quips about the logic of fiction as she prepares to unleash chaos. The guards stare blankly, processing the fact that they are about to be attacked. Back in the throne room, the captain receives a frantic report that the prisoner is loose. Coco sprints through the halls, fully armed and no longer pretending to be helpless. She admits she knew the negotiation would fail, but needed a way inside. With a smirk, she notes that their hesitation to kill her immediately was a fatal mistake. A guard turns the corner only to find the victim charging straight at him. Coco becomes a whirlwind of violence, striking down enemies with acrobatic precision. Cultists are sent flying as she tears through their ranks like a force of nature. She pulls the pins on her grenades, filling the corridor with choking tear gas. Glowing eyes pierce the smoke, terrifying the remaining guards with a demon-like glare. Coco bursts through the smoke, moving faster than the cultists can track. She leaps into the air, raining suppression fire down on the panicked guards below. A heavy boot connects with a cultist's jaw, silencing him instantly. She lands in the center of the group, turning the corridor into a chaotic brawl. Smoke billows from the doorway as she breaches the next secure zone. Tucking into a roll, she navigates the debris with fluid precision. The remaining guards freeze, stunned by the sudden violent intrusion. Before they can raise their weapons, a gun barrel smashes into the nearest face. She weaves through their ranks, using her firearms as blunt instruments in close quarters. Muzzle flashes light up the dark hallway as she unleashes a rapid barrage. Reinforcements spot her through the haze, screaming for everyone to converge on her position. Suddenly, the corridor plunges into pitch blackness, sparking panic among the enemy. A cut power line sparks in the distance, revealing she sabotaged the breaker box. A confused guard squints in the dark, noticing a strange object at his feet. A modified cleaning robot hums quietly, rigged with a nasty surprise. The guard steps closer to investigate, sealing his own fate. A massive explosion rocks the hallway, engulfing the squad in flames. Coco stays low to the ground, letting the shockwave pass over her. Her eyes narrow behind the mask, already calculating her next move. She sprints up a slanted surface, using the terrain to gain a height advantage. Gravity aids her descent as she slides down, firing with pinpoint accuracy. A heavy mechanical footstep shakes the floor, announcing a new threat. An armored juggernaut pilots a massive exosuit, blocking her path. Hydraulic pistons hiss as the metal giant prepares to crush the intruder. Coco faces the behemoth, looking tiny compared to its heavy plating. She leaps sideways just as a massive metal fist smashes into the wall. Mid-air, she opens fire, targeting the pilot's exposed viewport. The bullets bounce harmlessly off the reinforced glass, mocking her efforts. The pilot laughs, swinging a massive mechanical arm to swat her like a fly. Instead of retreating, Coco jumps directly onto the machine, scaling it like a ladder. She jams her fingers into a seam in the armor, finding a weak point in the metal. With a powerful kick, she forces the emergency hatch open, exposing the pilot inside. The pilot screams in panic as she drags him out of his protective shell. Coco glares down at him, mocking his reliance on toys with a terrifying stare. The massive machine topples over, crashing to the ground in a heap of scrap. Coco lands gracefully, suspecting that the victory felt suspiciously easy. High above, the masked captain watches the spectacle, admitting she allowed the rescue. She warns that no matter where they run, they cannot escape her divine sight. Coco aims her weapon at the distant figure, vowing to kill the leader before leaving. The sun sets over the industrial fortress as the chaotic raid comes to an end. In the detention room, Rex remains unconscious, surrounded by a pile of defeated guards. Dozens of elite soldiers lie broken on the floor, a testament to the sniper's rampage. A shattered mask is the only evidence left of the brutal struggle that took place. The duo finds refuge in an abandoned church, finally safe from the immediate danger. Rex groans in his sleep, the effects of the poison slowly wearing off. He opens his eyes, staring blankly at the unfamiliar ceiling of the ruins. Panic surges as he bolts upright, screaming his partner's name in terror. He clutches his chest, shocked to find that the lethal toxin is gone. An empty vial rolls across the floor, revealing that the antidote was administered in time. Confusion sets in as he tries to piece together how he survived the ordeal. He spots Coco sleeping against the wall, clutching her retrieved rifle tightly. Rex stares in awe, realizing she fought an entire army just to save him. He leans in with concern, terrified by her stillness and lack of movement. A soft murmur escapes her lips, confirming she is merely in a deep, exhausted sleep. Rex collapses back onto the floor, letting out a long breath of relief. He lies beside her in silence, grateful that the nightmare is finally over. Coco stretches her stiff limbs, waking up from her short nap. She stands up and brushes off her suit, ready to move on immediately. Her expression hardens, masking any emotion she might have felt earlier. Without a word, she walks away into the sunlight, leaving Rex to follow. Rex scrambles to his feet, shouting for his partner to wait. A heavy object flies through the air, smacking him squarely in the face. He yells in confusion while Coco stands there, looking thoroughly annoyed. She declares the hit a necessary punishment for his reckless behavior earlier. Grumbling, she reminds him that his impulsiveness caused her a sleepless night of fighting. Rex listens quietly as she complains about the difficulty of cleaning up his messes. Her expression softens slightly as she warns him to actually listen to orders next time. She tosses a long, sturdy object toward him as a peace offering. Coco explains that it is a blunt weapon, specifically chosen for his brute fighting style. Rex inspects the new gear while she strictly forbids him from touching her guns again. He tries to follow her, but she snaps back that she needs privacy to change. Elsewhere, a red-hooded figure stands before a crowd, preaching about ancient history. 2 prisoners stand bound to execution poles, awaiting their grim fate. The preacher speaks of humanity's arrogance and the natural disasters that followed. He claims that the survivors failed to atone, necessitating a divine intervention. Rows of masked cultists listen intently to the sermon of doom. The prisoners glare at their captors as the priest calls dinosaurs the messengers of God. A fist clenches tight as the speaker condemns those who resist the New World Order. He raises his voice, labeling the defiant captives as foolish sinners. The red-haired prisoner stares with intense hatred as his execution is announced. The priest spreads his arms wide, asking for divine forgiveness through this blood sacrifice. The masked army roars in approval, their fanaticism echoing through the hall. A broadcast of the execution reaches the city, whipping the common folk into a frenzy. Civilians scream for blood, completely brainwashed by the cult's propaganda. The mob chants for death as the prisoners stand isolated on their pillars. The female captive spits back, mocking their twisted version of salvation. The priest turns in fury, outraged by her blasphemous interruption. A calm voice cuts through the tension, ordering the fanatic to stand down. The apostle steps into the light, his regal presence silencing the executioner. Whispers ripple through the crowd, shocked by the rare appearance of their supreme leader. The apostle commands the chaotic scene to settle, demanding absolute submission from the crowd. A massive dinosaur roars into the arena, terrifying the onlookers with its ferocious display. The crowd screams in panic, believing their end has come as the beast lunges. Terror instantly shifts to adoration as the monster halts, sparking cheers of religious fervor. The leader basks in the praise, his control over the beast solidifying his divine status. He descends the stairs with a weary grace, leaving the frenzied mob behind him. Removing his crown, he sighs with relief, glad that the theatrical performance is finally over. His elite siblings greet him backstage, a colorful group of powerful individuals. The pink-haired girl giggles, amused by how easily the masses treat them like pop stars. The white-haired man sneers, mocking the humans for their simple-minded stupidity. Tensions flare between the brothers as they bicker over credit and status within the group. A bespectacled man watches quietly, pondering how long their deception can last. He reflects on the dark truth that the deity the people worship is a complete fabrication. The terrifying dinosaur god is revealed to be nothing more than a tool for manipulation. The leader sits on his throne, explaining that they simply provide the illusion the people crave. With cold ambition, he declares their plan to use this blind faith to become the new gods of this world. The strategist listens in silence, his expression unreadable behind his glasses. A masked servant interrupts the meeting, kneeling to deliver an urgent report to the strategist. He whispers the grim news that one of their branches was completely wiped out the previous night. Adjusting his glasses, the strategist realizes the threat is escalating and decides to intervene personally. His eyes glow with a dangerous light as he resolves to handle the problem before his brothers find out. Far away from the cult's intrigue, peaceful giants graze among the overgrown city ruins. Rex walks cheerfully through the forest, carrying his new weapon and enjoying the company. He grins at his partner, commenting on how reassuring it feels to travel together again. A sudden blow to the head cuts his sentence short, leaving him confused and in pain. He rubs the bump on his head, demanding to know why she attacked him out of nowhere. Coco stares back calmly, explaining that she needs to test the limits of his dormant power. She lists the variables she must analyze, treating his pain as a necessary scientific experiment. Rex argues that hitting him with a rock is hardly a valid training method for controlling his strength. Coco agrees to change tactics, pulling out a pistol to test if mortal danger is a better trigger. Coco fires a warning shot, terrifying Rex with her extreme training methods. The narrative shifts to the past, focusing on a pile of discarded dinosaur research notes. A young strategist stands before his friends, telling them to abandon their foolish dreams. Michael crawls on the ground, desperate to prove that their research has value. He argues passionately that finding a weakness in the beasts is their only path to victory. The red-haired leader grabs him by the collar, his patience wearing thin with the boy's idealism. He demands that Michael abandon these childish fantasies and face the harsh reality. Leaning in close, he whispers the cruel truth that they are destined to fail. Michael responds with a sudden punch to the gut, refusing to accept that destiny. He sprints away in tears, shouting one last piece of advice before disappearing. The other two friends watch in shock while their leader doubles over in pain. Michael pushes his legs to the limit, running blindly away from his former allies. His friends give chase, trying to stop him before he does something reckless. Desperate to escape, he squeezes into a narrow drainage pipe to hide. The pursuers skid to a halt, losing sight of their target in the maze of ruins. The tunnel leads directly into the Forbidden Zone, a place teeming with monsters. Panic sets in as the group realizes their friend has crossed into lethal territory. They splash through the flooded streets, racing against time to retrieve the runaway. Fear overtakes the two followers, their courage crumbling as they venture deeper. The leader scolds them for their cowardice, demanding they press on despite the danger. Terrified, the duo turns around and flees, leaving their leader to continue alone. He curses their disloyalty just as a massive disturbance erupts from the water. A colossal crocodile rises from the depths, its jaws ready to snap. The strategist freezes, sensing the prehistoric death looming directly behind him. His eyes widen as he realizes he is completely unarmed against such a beast. Desperate names are called out, but only the silence of the flooded ruins answers him. The predator towers over its prey, saliva dripping from its razor-sharp teeth. Time seems to stop as he stares death in the face. Instinct takes over as he shields his face from the inevitable strike. A sudden explosion of force knocks the beast aside, saving him at the very last second. Michael trembles as he clutches a bomb, recalling that this swamp dweller is vulnerable to explosives. The baryonyx growls low in its throat, eyeing the small prey that dares to challenge it. Red stares in disbelief, unable to comprehend that the coward came back to save him. He notices Michael's legs shaking violently, betraying the sheer terror he is trying to suppress. Despite the fear, Michael stands his ground, gripping his weapon with white-knuckled determination. He shouts the strategy to his stunned friend, identifying the tendon in the hind leg as the critical weak point. Red sweats nervously, realizing the boy actually intends to go toe-to-toe with the monster. The beast lunges with a snap of its jaws, forcing Michael to dive into action. He slides beneath the massive head, narrowly avoiding the rows of razor-sharp teeth. Moving with desperate speed, he aims his weapon at the exposed limb. Red watches with wide eyes, stunned that the plan might actually have a chance. The strike connects perfectly, severing the tendon with a precise blow. The dinosaur roars in agony as its leg buckles under its own weight. Michael beams with triumph, shouting that his theory was correct. Red stares in awe, admitting to himself that he misjudged his friend's courage. The massive predator crashes to the ground, seemingly incapacitated by the injury. Red's expression suddenly shifts back to horror as the beast begins to move again. The dinosaur rises with a furious hiss, proving that one strike wasn't enough to finish it. A massive tail whips through the air, catching the celebrator completely off guard. Michael is launched across the clearing, his body ragdolling from the heavy impact. The predator's eye glows with predatory malice, locking onto its vulnerable target. Red remains frozen in place, too terrified to intervene as the situation spirals. Michael struggles to crawl away, reaching out and begging for salvation. The beast descends with a devastating crunch, burying him under its massive jaws. He lies broken in the dirt, his vision blurring as he wonders where his calculations went wrong. The monster shakes its prey violently, intent on ending the struggle. Its yellow eye dilates, focused entirely on finishing the meal. Tears mix with grit on his face as he accepts his grim fate. Suddenly, two warriors burst from the bushes, launching a surprise attack on the creature. Michael blinks through his pain, trying to focus on the strangers who just intervened. Rex freezes in place as the massive predator looms over the unconscious victim. He awkwardly apologizes to the beast for interrupting its meal. Coco aims her pistol, ignoring Rex's confusion about the sudden plan. She admits her aim is shaky but insists on taking the shot anyway. Rex brandishes the shovel, introducing it as their secret weapon. Coco stares intensely, hyping up the tool's hidden potential. She promises that a single swing will send the monster flying. Rex looks at the shovel doubtfully, questioning his own strength. The dinosaur lunges forward, jaws wide to swallow him whole. Rex swings the shovel with desperate force, connecting with the beast. The injured boy opens a groggy eye to see his savior. He watches in awe as Rex battles the creature midair. Rex grits his teeth, pouring every ounce of power into the blow. A shockwave ripples through the air as the shovel slams home. The boy marvels at the stranger's incredible physical strength. Rex grins with adrenaline, shouting that hitting things feels amazing. The massive predator is knocked backward by the unexpected strike. Rex flails in the air, suddenly realizing gravity is taking over. He yells at Coco, pointing out that the beast is definitely not dead. The dinosaur snaps at him, proving that the one-hit kill was a lie. Coco watches impassively as Rex accuses her of setting him up. She drags the unconscious boy away, declaring the rescue a success. With the target secured, she retreats into the safety of the bushes. Rex realizes he is left alone with the angry monster and no gun. He sprints for his life, cursing the so-called backup plan. Coco glances back, unbothered by her partner's frantic screaming. The dinosaur roars in fury, chasing the noisy distraction. It stumbles as it runs, favoring its injured leg. Coco notices the limp, realizing the earlier damage was effective. The chase moves into the distance, leaving the ruins silent once more. Michael winces as consciousness returns, his body still aching from the brutal impact. Coco advises him to stay still, noting that the smoke from his injuries hasn't fully cleared. Realization dawns on the boy as he frantically thanks the strangers who saved his life. Rex cuts the gratitude short, demanding to know who the boy is and why he was in such a dangerous spot. Michael introduces himself as a simple citizen from a neighboring settlement. Coco examines the scattered papers on the ground, deducing his ambition to join the guard. Shame colors his face as he begs her to discard the evidence of his failed dream. She realizes that the earlier victory was only possible because of the research in these notes. Holding up a diagram, she credits him for identifying the beast's critical weakness. Michael admits to the strategy, but struggles to accept any praise for it. Rex looks the scrawny boy up and down, doubting he possesses any real strength. The boy's shoulders slump as he confesses that his knowledge failed to save his friend. He laments that despite his burning desire, he lacks the power to protect anyone. Rex agrees bluntly, acknowledging the harsh reality of their world. He notes that survival is nearly impossible for someone without physical prowess. Michael listens in silence, expecting more criticism from the strong warrior. Rex reminds him that despite the fear, he still had the guts to strike the monster first. He points out that without that initial blow, none of them would be standing there right now. Rex declares that such bravery is the only true requirement for becoming a guard. He pauses, confused by the intense stare he is suddenly receiving from the boy. The boy asks for the warrior's name, his eyes shining with new admiration. Rex introduces himself casually, unaware of the impact he just made. Michael suddenly lunges forward, latching onto Rex's leg with desperate enthusiasm. He shouts his own name, ensuring his new hero will remember him. With stars in his eyes, he begs to be taken on as an apprentice immediately. He raves about the battle, convinced that Rex is a legendary soldier. He pleads for training, desperate to learn how to fight like a pro. Rex's ego swells instantly as he accepts the role of master without hesitation. Coco's eyes widen in disbelief, horrified that Rex actually said yes. She screams in protest, demanding to know why he is adding more chaos to their journey. Coco stares him down, asking if he is truly prepared to do absolutely anything she demands. Michael pumps his fists, shouting that he will endure any hardship to become as strong as his idol. She steps firmly into the dirt, accepting his pledge with a tone that implies he has made a terrible mistake. Wrapped in her ghillie suit, she declares that his training begins with absolute, unquestioning obedience to her orders. The boy blinks in surprise but nods eagerly, too blinded by admiration to see the trap he just walked into. He cheers for his new master while Coco sighs, knowing she is about to make his life miserable. High above, the cult strategist watches the scene, correcting himself as he refers to his subordinates as slaves.